Now, ahead of Black Friday and the Christmas shopping season, we've got Dr. Linda Papadopoulos on the line who can share her advice on how to navigate through this safely. Good afternoon, Linda. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So, what would be your advice for people to find some good deals? Because it can maybe be quite overwhelming for some people.
I think you're right. Look, I think we're living through difficult times. You have a cost of living crisis right now, and
Yeah,
and I think as a consequence of that, what we're finding is people are approaching this in a much more nuanced way. I've been doing some research with Vodafone, kind of looking at how people are approaching shopping in general, and one of the things that we're finding is that it's not like the Black Friday, what it used to be, of people like pushing each other and shoving and like these impulsivity. It seems that people are
yeah.
saying we're now planning for this. People are planning months in advance. They're saving more money. They're actually doing their homework to see how best to do this. And I think that's very, very interesting, right? To see that it's not, that we've had that change. I think the other thing that's coming out of this research that's really interesting is that a lot of brands themselves are understanding that people aren't just going to come in with like 10% off, 20% off. So they're
Yeah.
they're kind of providing other things. Again, with this Vodafone research, we found like trade-in tools. Like if you trade in an old device, that you get money back. That's a huge thing for people. Other organizations are doing sort of no interest credit, things like that. So I think what we're finding is much more savvy buyers, and as a consequence of that, marketeers working a lot harder to
Yeah.
ensure that they're drawing people in.
Yeah, for sure. Remember, like a few years ago when we first started doing Black Friday in this country, the scenes that we saw on the news were just incredible. People were fighting. I mean, it was probably a minority, really, and didn't happen in many places, but you could see that looked like something that you didn't want to be involved in, and it probably put a lot of people off, and that's why it's maybe died down a bit.
I think absolutely. I think also people are these days just more creative with ways to make their money go further. So you don't have to kind of, push people out of the way for a TV. You can
Yeah,
go on comparison sites, you can plan ahead, you can research prices. I think the other thing that came out that I thought was really interesting is when people these days, we found like 56% said this, when they're buying something, they're considering the future value of a device. So if
yeah.
they can then resell it or trade it in or upgrade it. And I think that's, again, something that's relatively new, which is great.
So, what would be your advice in terms of finding a good deal? Because how do you know if it's a good deal and it's not just that price all the time anyway?
I think that you can do a couple of things. I think number one, you can follow something that you want over a period of time. So kind of
Yeah.
look at past advertisements. You can actually, I think, in many cases, ask someone customer services, what does this come down from, and they have to tell you, right?
Yeah.
I think you can go on comparison sites to kind of see where the differences are. So there again, and all these things are a lot easier because of our technology than they used to be.
Christmas may be tough for a lot of people this year for fairly obvious reasons. So it's more important than ever to find a good deal, isn't it?
I think absolutely it is. People, we've had a tough few years, and
Yeah.
I think the cost of living crisis is definitely here, and people are really feeling it. So I think people need to not only find good deals, but be really savvy about kind of asking themselves, what am I going to buy? Do I really need this? How am I going to buy it? How does this kind of, what are the steps that I take so that this kind of enhances my life rather than making it more difficult?
Yeah. And if you shop online, is that an easier experience because you don't have all that fighting in the shops, and maybe it's easier to find a good deal online because you can do more research?
Yeah, well, look, I think in some ways it's easier, but I think also in some ways that ease might mean that you are a bit impulsive,
Yeah.
that you press the buy button. So again, I would always say, take the time, really ask about, what can I get if I trade this in?
Hmm.
How can I kind of, make use of this? Will it last? And then also give yourself a cooling off period. I think if you really
Yeah.
want something, you'll want it in a couple days' time. So that gap between seeing it and buying it, the wider you make it, the more likely you are to make a good decision. decision.
Yeah. Even before Christmas, like the week or two before Christmas, things start to go on sale. Not just things you'd buy as a present, but food and all the stuff you need. Because I guess most people do their shopping relatively early, so they'll have some stuff on sale kind of last minute.
Absolutely, they will. Absolutely. And kind of, making use of those tips is a really, really good idea. And again, I think there's this sense of, we sort of fetishize these moments and, we need to buy this many toys for our kids, or we need to have this. Actually, there's a lot of kind of beauty in being able to kind of give that one thing and not have to kind of overdo it. So kind of sort of tempering that kind of belief is important.
So where can we go to find out more information?
If people go onto vodafone.co.uk/Black Friday, they'll find a lot more information about what we've been speaking about and all, just the great sort of opportunities and offers out there.
Excellent. Well, many thanks for talking to us today. It's been great to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me.